Hi guys, it is Court and Shaz. We are coming at you today with a short sequence based on our neck and our shoulders. We have had a few requests from you guys to focus on these two areas. So as magnificent yoga teachers do, we deliver the goods. So here we are. So we are going to start in a comfortable seated position. I am sitting on my heels. You're more than welcome to start in a cross-legged position or however you'd like. Now, we are going to begin with a nice little fascia release of the chest, the neck, and the shoulders. So it incorporates a little bit of a release in the jaw as well. So it's a lymphatic drainage technique that I have learned from one of my yin teachers. So basically we have lots of muscles throughout this area. We have the lymphatic system, which is all the glands underneath here. So for example, when they're swollen, when we're sick, that's them healing. So they need a little attention. So when we stretch them out, it encourages immunity and it allows us to move a little bit more freely in this area. So to begin with, we will take our right hand over to the left side of our chest. So just where our collarbone is, so just underneath the collarbone and just above the breast tissue with the right hand. And then we'll take that left hand over the right. And we're just going to gently begin to pull down with just a little bit of added pressure, just where you feel that nice bit of tension. And just pulling it off to the side as you begin to turn your neck over to the opposite side. Eye gaze follows. And already you'll feel this nice stretch, and you can have the chin up or down. Have a play with what feels good for you. And slowly begin to steady the breath. And I would encourage breathing in and out through the nose. Still applying that pressure. And if you need to move that right hand around just to find a nice sweet spot. This area, these muscles can be quite knotty. You're more than welcome to do that. Take one more breath here. And on the next inhale, we'll open the eyes if they're not so already, and we're going to begin to yawn out the jaw. So loosen the jaw, so just take a few yawn-like, I don't know what you would call these, motions through the jaw. So you might feel a little bit of clicking. That's okay. You might actually yawn from this, and that's fine. And take as many of those as you need to. And coming back to neutral, I'm going to take that left hand to extend out long. And you'll just feel this added stretch as we energetically pull those left fingertips away from us. Still firm pressure down. So the areas of the chest that we're focusing on here, as well as the pec major and the pec minor. And let's take another 5 cycles of breath here. And you can always floss the neck up and down or from side to side if that feels good. 2 more breaths. And slowly and kindly begin to rotate your neck to the front of the room, bringing that left hand back in and just allowing the hands to fall on the thighs, open or close depending on your mood. And just being for a moment before we move into the opposite side. One more breath. And opening the eyes. If they're not so already, this time we'll take that left hand over to the right side. So that's between the collarbone and the breast tissue. So before you take that right hand over the left, this is the motion you might like to make, so circular motion, just to find an area for you that might be a little bit more tight, that you feel like you need to focus on more. And then once you find that spot, begin to take that hand, the right hand over and pull down. And we'll take that eye gaze to the opposite side, careful with the neck. And find your breath here. And option for the chin to be up or down. And always noticing one side may be a lot different to the other. And this is such a good way to stretch out the fascia, especially if you are sitting at a desk all day, or you do find that you hold a lot of tension in your shoulders, the weight of the world on your shoulders, as they like to say. We've all been there. And we'll take a few yawns with the jaw, releasing the jaw, allowing it to surrender. Taking as many as you like, that feels good for you, not forcing it. When you're ready, coming back to stillness, coming back to the breath. We'll extend that right hand out long, energetically pulling that right hand away from the body. Intensifying that stretch. And moving that left hand around if you need to. Let's take 5 more cycles of breath here. The last 2 breaths. Exhale gently, turning the head, bringing that right hand into center, allowing the hands to fall into our laps. Take a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, you can sigh it out if you like. Perhaps taking a few shoulder rolls. And then reversing the direction. And then coming back through stillness. All right. So we might, or you should, feel a little bit more open in this region now. So now we're going to focus on the rest of the body. But before we do so, we're just going to take a few side bends here, planting the right hand down first, just by our right thigh. And then taking that left hand over sky, or to sky, overhead I should say, spinning the heart to sky. And then slowly coming back through center and straight to the opposite side. Let's take one more on either side in your own time. Back to neutral. Okay, so we're going to move into a 4-point kneel now. So setting up for our cat-cows. So our shoulders are tracking over the wrists, hips over the knees, pushing the earth away. And option to have the toes tucked, drawing the navel in towards the spine, neck as an extension of the spine. Now before we do anything in this movement, before we enter into our cat-cows, I just want to begin to move through the neck only. So we're going to simply tilt the head back on the inhale, exhale, release back down, and be very kind with your neck here. Don't force it, don't rush it, and we'll go for 5 rounds. And always an option to have the eyes closed. Let's take another 2. And then coming back to stillness. Moving into some scapular shoulder mobility now. So scapular push-ups. Don't worry, we'll get to cat-cow soon. And this is a very simple movement, so I'll quickly demonstrate. So it's basically a collapse of the chest. So we're not moving anything but the torso here as the chest collapses, feeling the shoulder blades draw in towards one another. And on the inhale, pushing the earth away, coming back up to neutral. Exhale to lower. You can speed it up a little bit if you feel comfortable in the transition. So it's just really feeling into the shoulders here. And I know that my left side's a little bit tighter than my right. So I'm going to take mine nice and slow. Once again, you can close down the eyes. Just make sure that you're keeping the rest of your body nice and isometric, which means it's not moving. Let's take 2 more. Softness in the elbows if they're not so already. I know I need to always remind myself of that. And then coming back to stillness. Okay, we can move a little bit more freely now. So if you want to rotate through the hips, the side body, we're going to get into our cat-cows. And I encourage you to be as fluid as you need to be, awakening the spine, dropping the belly. Eye gaze to the sky, or close down the eyes with the eye gaze inwards and upwards. Exhale, hollow out the rib cage. And let's go for another 5 here. I'm just really involving the breath with the movement. You can hear Sharon's beautiful breath. So sighing out on your exhalation if that feels good. Last 2. Last 1. And we'll move back in our neutral position. Really nice, guys. Okay, tucking the toes if they're not so already. And on the next inhale, we're going to pull the pelvis to sky and we meet in downward facing dog. So your hands should be in the correct alignment here, shoulder width distance, with all 10 fingers equally spread, drawing the heels down. And on the next in-breath, we come up high on the ball mounts of the feet, and we take that right leg to sky, leading with the heel. 3-legged dog, squaring the hips to the mat. Tiger curl the knee into chest as we shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Step the foot between the palms, deliver the back knee to the ground. We are in low lunge. So we're going to take our hands up to sky. We're just going to clasp the hands on the back of the head, so the crown of the head, and just a slight tilt back here. And we're simply going to rotate to the right hand side, just with the torso. Head will follow, and then over to the left. And we're just going to do 2 more of those. Take it as slowly as you need to, supporting the neck. Elbows wide, And then coming back through center. Let's plant those hands down, framing the foot, so that left hand is anchoring down by the right big toe, and we take that right hand to sky for an open twist now. Let's pause here, eye gaze to fingertips. Now, option to stay with that left knee to ground or coming up into a runner's lunge with that left knee hovering off the ground, shifting that left heel back. And then we're going to take that right hand to clasp the back of the crown of the head, opening through that right hand side, holding here, pushing the earth away with that left hand, and then exhale, slowly draw that right elbow in, planting that right hand down, delivering that left knee down, and we'll meet in a half split. And just allow the belly to melt over that right leg. I encourage you to floss the neck from side to side here. So if it doesn't feel good to just allow it to hang there, just introduce some nice movement like so. Let's take another breath here. And on the next inhale, we'll slowly come back up through our low lunge, framing the front foot, and we'll take that right foot back to meet the left, and we'll meet in a high plank, and we're just going to lower all the way down to our bellies, and you can go through chaturanga if that's in your practice. And you might need to just shimmy a little bit back to the center of the mat. We're going to make our way into Sphinx pose. So the forearms come out in front, shoulder width distance, or a blocks width distance. So once again, the back of the feet are planting down, so we're drawing those inner thighs in towards one another, and all 10 fingers are equally spread. Proud chest widening through the collarbones. And from here, we're simply going to take our eye gaze over the left shoulder, and only go as far as you need to. Don't force anything. And coming back through center. And then over to the opposite side. You can close down your eyes as you do this as well. We'll take another 2 rounds on either side. Still really pushing the earth away with the forearms. Exhale to return. 1 more on either side. Okay, so we're back in Sphinx pose now, guys, and we are going to progress this to seal. So if you are unfamiliar with seal, we will have a turnout of our hands to the top corners of the mat. So you're more than welcome to keep your forearms grounded down if it feels good for you, but if you want to progress into full seal, the forearms will lift up off the mat, activating the thighs. And you can exaggerate this even more by coming up on the base of each fingertip, anchoring the pubic bone down. And we will take that eye gaze over that left shoulder. And you can always stick with the Sphinx version if this is a little bit too much. Exhale to return. Let's do 2 more on either side. And this is a really nice pose for your lumbar spine, which is your lower back as well. So we're combining effort with effort here. Let's meet back in seal. And slowly, carefully lower down. Chest lowers. Let's bring those hands to the base of the rib cage. tuck the toes. And option to come through high plank or via the knees, and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Reset in your down dog if you need to. Taking one breath here. And then we'll move over to the opposite side. So those heels come up high. And leading with the heel, this time it is the left leg to sky, three-legged dog. Eye gaze forward, tiger curl, the knee to chest. Step the foot between the palms, right knee is delivered to the mat, and we meet in low lunge. All right, let's take a breath here. We know where we're going now. Eye gaze forward, clasping the hands to the back of the head, where it feels comfortable for you, making sure we're keeping those elbows wide. And then we begin to rotate through the torso. Head will follow, eye gaze follows. And then over to the right. Keeping nice and steady in your foundation, in your lunge. One more on either side. Really broadening through those collarbones. Exhale, return, releasing the hands, framing the front foot. That right hand grounds down by the left big toe, and we take that open twist. So if you did so on the other side and you want to take it to the runner's lunge with that right knee hovering off the earth, you may. And once you arrive, you take that left hand to clasp the back of the head, opening up through that left side body. That left elbow is reaching back, spinning the heart to the sky. 2 more breaths. Pushing the earth away with that right hand. Exhale, release back through center. We're back in low lunge. And then we move into our half split, half Hanuman. And I'm going to floss the neck again here from side to side because that feels good for me. But if you'd like to rest the forehead to the shin, or if you have something at home you can place on your shin, whether that's a block, a blanket, whatever it is, a cushion, please feel free to do so. We want to make sure that your neck is nice and safe and protected. 2 more breaths here. Coming back to stillness, and on the inhale we come up, back into low lunge, and we'll make our way through our vinyasa, framing the front foot so that left foot meets the right. Option to go through your chaturanga, upward facing dog or easy cobra. Downward facing dog, and just from here take 1 breath, and we're just going to simply take the eye gaze to the top of the mat and drop the knees once again, meeting in a seated position. So taking those sitting bones to the heels. Just checking in with ourselves, quality of breath, quality of mind. And if you do want to take any shoulder rolls here, that feels good for you. I'm feeling pretty open in this area, but we do have 1 more exercise to finish the practice, which is a nice fascia release. So this is an exercise with the block. So it is needed. If you do have something that resembles a block or something that you feel may work for this technique, I do encourage you to use it, but I want you to be super careful. So what we're going to do is take the block and just place it to the back of the mat. So we're going to come into a flat back position and take the time to adjust yourself here. So we want to have the block mid-width distance, so on the skinny side, and we'll take from the edge of the block just underneath the base of the skull. So it might feel slightly weird, a bit of an uncomfortable sensation at first. So have a play with it with what feels comfortable for you. And then once you feel good, and you can do this with your legs extended or the legs bent. I'm going to do this with the legs bent because that feels better on my lower back. And we're going to simply just begin to drape our neck over to the right hand side to begin with. And I want you to do this really slowly. Be very careful. And once you reach your edge point, coming back through center. And then over to the left hand side. And for me, it feels quite nice. It's amazing what we can do with these blocks. We're just going to continue to do this for about 6 rounds, but if you'd like to do it longer or less, it's completely up to you at home. Breathing in and out through the nose. And if it's safe and you feel comfortable, it's not causing you any pain, you're more than welcome to speed it up a little bit. But I do find the slower you go, the more effective. Let's take another 3. Let's make this our last one. Slowly coming back through stillness and carefully removing the block. You might want to take the opposite hand just to support the neck. So you remove the block and we'll come down to a flat back position. Hug the knees into the chest. And just hold yourself here for 3 cycles of breath. And then once you reach your 3rd exhalation, however you'd like to get there, whether you'd like to rock and roll or simply peel the spine up off the mat, meeting in a nice comfortable seat, we will close our practice, and I feel quite calm and nice and open and loose after that. So it's a really beautiful technique to start your day or to even end your day. It can be done any time of day, and I think it's really important that we do take the time to give our neck and shoulders a little bit of attention every now and then, and support the immunity of all of our muscles throughout that area. So we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we will see you on the mat soon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
No worries.